Hey friends, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about what it looks like to create a vision for your life. And you can use this model in all different key areas of your life, whether you're talking about your health, your business, starting a business, moving up in your career, finances, paying off debt, saving to buy a house, relationships, your marriage, your family, whatever that looks like. You can create a vision for specific key areas in your life. And the benefit to creating a vision for those areas is that the more clarity you have, the more driven you're going to be to move forward, to focus on progress, to achieving whatever goal you have in your life. Because a lot of times when people have a vision, it's very abstract. They have kind of these general ideas of where they want to be at in their life. And what we want to do is we want to do what I call tangibilizing it. We want to make it as clear as possible because that's going to allow us to be more successful. So in this model, this is something that I work with clients on, but you can honestly do this on your own. You don't even need coaching. You can literally get a journal, spend a couple of hours, and just go over some of the key areas in your life and create a vision for these areas. So we're going to start with the center circle here, which is vision. Okay, this is kind of where we want to be at. We're going to work our way out to the blue circle, which is our core values, who we want to be in order to reach that vision. Because, by the way, you can't reach big goals. You can't do incredible things in the future without being willing to change. Because the person, the accomplishments that you want to have tomorrow is going to require you to become a different person today. So you've got to always be working on your personal growth. And values kind of help us define who we want to become as we work towards the vision. And once we've developed our core values, we're going to define a list of key objectives, which are really about, what do I want to do? What am I going to do? What next steps need to be taken? Where it's kind of strategy driven to help us accomplish that vision. And then lastly, we're going to talk about critical actions, which is going to help us take those objectives and break them down into doable steps. And here's why this is so important, guys. When you start with a vision and you work your way to values, and then you start to develop your plan of action, which is objectives and critical actions, you're going to feel less burned out. You're going to feel more motivated. You're going to feel more driven and clarity to actually focus on the things that matter the most in your life. Because what a lot of people do is when they're coming up with actions and steps they need to take in their life or their workplace, they grab a checklist and they just start writing down random tasks. This is what I need to do today. These are the tasks I need to do over the weekend for the house. And they haven't all those tasks can be random, kind of chaotic, saturated things that are just flooding their lives, and there's really no purpose to them. They're just, some of them are more urgent than others, but there's really no prioritization to them. And what this does is it allows you to evaluate all of your efforts in life, in your work, in your family, in your finances, health, relationships, and it just aligns those actions with what's most important in your life. Okay? So we're going to go through this together. And again, you're welcome to do this on your own. You don't have to have a coach to work with you in this. You can take a journal and you can spend a couple of hours doing this. But let's jump in together. Let's start with the first circle, which is our vision. So, a vision, again, lots of people have good visions and dreams and big goals of where they want to be at in life. The problem is that oftentimes they start very abstract. Some of the dreams that people have is, I want to lose weight. I want to pay off debt. I want to buy a house one day. I want to get married. I want to have more friends. I want to be more comfortable around others. I want to start a business one day. I want to travel more. Those are all great dreams, but they're too abstract. And what we want to do is we want to break that vision down into something that's going to be easier to grasp and clearer, because the more clear a vision is, the easier it's going to be to follow through with it. So there's three components to coming up with a vision when you're dealing with a specific area in life. The first one is what's in a massive achievement that you want to see happen. What's something incredible, a massive change that you want to see happen in the future. You know, if it's dealing with health, some people might say, I want to lose weight and be healthier, and um, I want to do the incline. You know, we live here in Colorado Springs. We've got this staircase that goes up the mountain. I think it's over 2,000 steps, massive staircase. And some people say, you know, I want to do the incline. I want to be healthy enough to be more active, feel more energetic. But then the second thing is you want to come up with a specific timeline. So a good action, a good achievement, I should say, um, is going to sound something like, you know, I want to lose 20 pounds within 12 months. Okay, so we're putting the achievement there, and when you add a number to that achievement, it's going to be much easier to follow through with it. And then you're putting a timeline on there. I want to do that in 12 months. And then the next step is you want to add a deep purpose to it. So a deep purpose could sound something like, because living a healthy life for my family matters to me. So when you've got a deep purpose that's driving the vision, it's much easier to stay motivated to follow through with that vision. If you don't have a deep purpose to your vision, you kind of just have a normal goal. And there's nothing really special about it. And by the way, because people don't put a deep purpose to some of their dreams, they really just have some meteoric goals in their life. And that's why a lot of people don't follow through with their goals, because there isn't a deep sense of why this matters to them. So when you're crafting your vision, you want to aim for a massive achievement, something that you want to see happen, a big giant change that has a specific timeline, okay, that you can shoot for, a time target, and then you want to associate that with a deep purpose. And once you've crafted your vision, then the next step is you want to work on creating a list of core values. Now, when I've read about core values, I think of terms like, the word integrity. I want to be a person of integrity, or trust. You know, people say, I want to be a person of trust, or I want to be a person of faith, or I want to be a person of motivation or courage. And those are good. The problem is that they're too vague. You want to have core values that are as clear as possible, because the clearer a value is, the more you're going to implement it. By the way, some of you guys, you know the story of Enron, all the stuff that they got in trouble with in the financial world and stuff. In their headquarters, before they got in trouble financially, they had a list of values on their wall, and one of them was integrity. Okay, so having a list of values saying I want to be a person of integrity, faith, courage, motivation, that's not enough. We want to make it as clear as possible so that there's no mistake in what it looks like to be a person with core values. So there's three components to help us define our set of core values. The first one is attitude. What is an attitude that we want to strive for? Okay. An attitude for us, let's just go through these together. I'll give an example in a second, but attitude would be the first part. Next, producing a behavior based on that attitude. How do you want to respond? How are you going to act? How are you going to behave towards others? And then what kind of specific impact is that going to have? So let's look at an example here. A value, if you're trying to be healthy, if you're trying to lose that 12 pounds or that 20 pounds in 12 months, one value is because I want to have energy. That's who I want to be known for. I want to be an energetic person. I want to have the zest to go and actually do things and be active. I want to be a person of energy. And then you're going to add a behavior to that. So we're going to say, I'm going to be energetic by becoming more physically active. So if you're used to always sitting around watching TV, if you're used to just kind of sitting around and not being as active, or maybe you work at a job where it's a desk job and you're used to sitting down, and then you come home and the last thing you want to do is be physically active. You want to lay down on the couch and watch TV. You've got to shift your behavior. You got to shift your behavior to match that attitude. If you're going to be a person of energy, you've got to be physically active, okay? Um, and then once you've defined the behavior, you're going to kind of declare this specific impact, and you're going to say, I want to be active so that I can be more active, make more memories, do more things with my family. That's the impact it's going to have. Some other impacts could be because it's going to allow me to live longer. I'm going to get to spend more years with my grandkids. I am going to get to do more things in life because I'm healthy. So you have to decide, okay, based on my vision, what kind of attitude do I want to have? What kind of behavior do I want to integrate with that attitude, and what impact do I want to have in my life? And you want to create at least 3 core values. You can do more. I recommend doing no more than 10 core values for that particular vision, but come up with a set of core values of who you want to be, how you want to respond, and what kind of an impact it's going to have. Those are the kind of values that people follow through with. Those are the kind of values that you cannot misunderstand when you're trying to live your life or create a healthy business culture, or do finances in an ethical, moral way. Okay? So break your values down, and once you've defined your 3 core values for your vision, then you're going to move on to your, what I call, our key objectives. Okay? Now, key objectives are different than core values in that core values are about who you need to become to achieve your vision, right? Because oftentimes, in order to get to where you want to be at tomorrow, you have to change your identity and your mindset today. In other words, oftentimes the person we are today isn't capable of getting us to where we want to be tomorrow. We have to invest in our personal growth. We have to develop ourselves to get to where we want to be. And core values allow us to shift our mindset and our identity to get to where we want to be. But key objectives are different. Key objectives are strategy driven, they're action focused. They're designed to help us understand, okay, what next steps do I need to take? Okay, so here's a few different components as far as creating a good key objective. Number one, start with a SMART goal. Okay, now SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time bound. In other words, it needs to be specific. Again, the more defined we can make something, the farther away we can get from it being abstract, the more the more we're likely we are to follow through with that action. So it needs to be very, very specific. It also needs to be measurable. Like, how will you know once you've accomplished this step? It needs to be achievable. Let me give you an example of this real quick. I'm not the most in shape person. I want to get healthier. I want to eat healthier. I want to live a long life. But realistically, if I tried to be like some of my friends who get in 20, 25,000 steps a week, I can't do that right now. That's unachievable. But I can get 5 steps in each day. That's more achievable. Okay? So, whatever it is that you're aiming for, whatever the objective is, it's got to be realistic. It's got to be achievable. It's got to be relatable to the goal. Okay, it's got to match what your objective is, what you're trying to do for your core values. Um, it's got to have a direct influence on the value that you're trying to achieve, and then it's got to be time bound. Again, so I'm going to mention this several times. The more you can add numbers and timelines, the more probable you are to achieve your goals. Okay? So it should have a good time bound deadline to it. The second component is that it needs to have measurable success. Okay? It should have measurable success to it so that you know, okay, if I accomplish 5,000 steps, that is going to be a win to celebrate. Okay? Part of having numbers is so that you can measure your wins. And by the way, we do a really good job of measuring our failures. We tend to not do so good of a job of measuring our successes. Okay, we've got to be our biggest champion. We're really good at being our own critics. We're really good about criticizing our efforts and our failures. We got to learn to show up and be our biggest champion and actually celebrate the wins. And the best way to do that, the best way to measure success is, again, having these steps measurable and time bound. And then the third component is you want to have an inspiring story to it. Okay, so if my objective is I want to get 5,000 steps in each day, until I start feeling less foggy brain. So that's going to be my measurable success. And by the way, guys, and I've talked to several people who are trying to get healthy. It can be really discouraging when you're getting up early in the morning and you're jogging and you're eating healthy and you're doing all the things you should be doing, and you're not seeing the weight loss or the decrease in inches around your waist. That can feel really discouraging. A better win, a better way to measure success could be something like, I want to feel more energy, feel less foggy brain, be able to concentrate on my work better. And when I started measuring success in terms of how much foggy brain am I feeling, because that was a real issue for me, that gave me motivation. And then I was able to say, you know what? Who cares if I didn't drop any pounds this week? I'm feeling way more energy in my brain. I'm feeling a whole lot more ability to focus on stuff. I'm more cognitively there. So, that could be a way to measure success until I start feeling less foggy brain. And then the inspiring story is, which is going to allow my family and I to make memories by hiking more on the weekend together. When you're overweight, when you're physically out of shape, it's kind of hard to go and have awesome outdoor experiences with your family or your friends. You're really missing out. We live here in Colorado Springs, and we're blessed to be down the road from Garden of the Gods and Pikes Peak. We've got the mountains right in our backyard. When you're fit, when you're healthy, you get to experience those things with your loved ones. You get to make memories with them. Okay? That's a pretty inspiring story. Imagining what kind of memories you can make with people. Okay? So that's an example of what a key objective looks like. Now, before we move on to the next phase of this, I want to encourage you, for every core value you come up with, create at least 3 key objectives. Okay? And the best way to do that is to write it out on a piece of paper, on a big piece of paper. Start with your first core value and try to come up with at least 3 key objectives for that one, and just keep breaking those core values down into multiple key objectives. Because the more you can break down each core value, the more effective you're going to be. Okay? So now we're going to move on to what I call our critical actions. Okay? So a critical action is helping us break that objective down even more. Think of your critical actions as a list of your daily checklist, okay? And again, people often start backward. They start with their checklist every day. They start with kind of this to-do list of all the tasks and chores and, errands and things that they need to do in the day. And then they kind of forget about their values and their vision and what's most important. So your critical actions are integrated with your objectives, which are integrated with your values, which is connected to your vision. So when you work this way, your daily checklist of tasks become more purpose driven. They become more vision focused. All right. So let's take this one objective, for example. If our objective is I'm going to get 5,000 steps each day until I start feeling less foggy brain, which is going to allow my family and I to make memories by hiking on the weekends together, then what would a list of critical actions look like? Well, one critical action could be I'm going to walk around the track down the street from our house starting at 8 in the morning, and I'm going to do that for 30 minutes. Now, I may not get 5,000 steps in that time frame, or I may get more than 5,000 steps, right? But I'm going to make it my goal to walk around the track starting at 8 in the morning. I'm going to put that on my checklist, and I'm going to do that for 30 minutes. And then during lunchtime, if I'm working from home, I'm going to take our dog for a walk, and I'm going to do that for just 20 minutes. Or if you're working in an office somewhere, you're just going to go take a walk down the street, move your legs, do that for 20 minutes. And then the third critical action is toward the evening time, around 7 p.m. I'm just going to, in the evening, by taking another walk or walking on the treadmill, and I'm going to listen to a full podcast episode. And by the way, for me personally, I don't know how you guys operate, but it's way easier for me to walk and to be physically active when I have something to listen to. I think I get bored sometimes listening to my thoughts. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to do, personal reflection when I'm walking, but sometimes, when you've got a big goal to get so many steps in, the time goes by faster when you're listening to something. So you can say I'm going to start my last walk in the evening and I'm going to listen to a full podcast episode, whether it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever. And that's what your critical actions are going to look like. Now, as you build out all of your key objectives and you break each objective down into a critical action, you are going to have a nice checklist, a nice target list of all the tasks that you're going to do daily and weekly, okay? And you're not going to feel as burned out. You're going to feel more motivated. You're going to feel more driven because all of those tasks are now purpose driven. There's a purpose behind them. They're not just random things that are filling up your calendar. You're going to have a set of critical actions you're going to take regarding your marriage and your family and your home life because you've created objectives, values, and visions for your home. You're going to have a checklist of daily critical actions you're going to take for your workplace because you've broken your job down into core objectives or key objectives, core values, and a vision. And by the way, if you're an employer, if you're a manager, if you're someone that manages a team of people, I encourage you to help your team members come up with a vision for their specific role, whether they work in production, marketing, IT, finances, whatever that looks like. Encourage them, work with them to come up with a vision for their specific role or come up with it for them. Okay? Oftentimes when employers are hiring new employees, they start with a job description, which is just a big old giant list of tasks, and there's no why, there's no purpose, and it's easy for employees to get burned out or to lose motivation or to look at their job as, oh, this is just a way to pay the bills. If you want to flip that script, help them become employees that are vision driven. Okay, and if you don't know how to do this with your team, if you're a manager or an employer and you want to help your team members come up with a specific vision for their role, let me know. I do workshops on this model, and I can come to your office, your workplace, and I can do a workshop for you guys and break this down and help your team kind of create the launch pad to get this started in your company. Because the more of your efforts become vision driven, the more results you're going to see, the better outcomes you're going to find. So this is something I did for myself. This is something that's allowed me to feel a lot more peace of mind in my life. I've done this for my business, my marriage. I'm working on my health. I'm working on doing this for my finances. And I don't have every key area in my life defined yet, but this is an exercise I'm working on. This is me shifting all of these key areas in my life to give each one a vision of what I want to see happen, the purpose behind it, why it matters, and I'm creating core values to go along with that. Okay? So, again, you can do this in your journal. You can take some time to do it on your own. If you do want someone to help you coach through this, if you would like me to help you unpack this process and come up with a vision for your life, I can do that in a free session. Okay? For all my first-time clients, I always offer a free session. Doesn't cost you anything. There's no strings attached to push you to move forward in the future if you don't want to. Just visit my website at isaaccano.com. You can find the form to fill out to get your first free session, and let's work together to create a vision for your life. But thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know.